We're on. Okay,
Great.
so welcome to the show. We're
You know,
broadcasting
uh,
here from
why is it
lovely public, lovely public studios. You got all these
public
people out here.
studios? Ha, that's what you
You got
should
a bunch
call
of
it,
people
public
here.
studios. This
Yeah,
could be
believe it
your
or
thing, a guy who just does podcasts at different public places.
not, just a guy. Okay, so we were talking about climate change, right?
Yeah, and you don't believe that it's real. So share
Well,
some more on that point.
I wouldn't say that it's not real. What I would say is that a lot of the stuff is very much driven by funding. You know, the um, the videos that I have seen lately in the last few years, there's a lot more of them. You know, and what they show very basically is the temperature rise that's been what for the last 150 years has been a half to three quarters of a degree Celsius in 150 years.
All
You know,
right.
yeah. And the other thing is with the CO2. The thing that they were showing about the CO2 was quite basically that the CO2 levels at the R, they said 400 parts per million. We haven't been here before, which we have. And the thing with the CO2, it's not linear. Where like the greenhouse effect at 400 parts per million, when it gets to 800 parts per million, it's going to be double. It doesn't work that way. It's reaching a saturation point. Some of the graphs I saw that it's about 90%, and the reason this happens is because the way the energy comes from the sun. Infrared is the heat. Okay, I'm sure you know that light, electromagnetic spectrum, are visible is from what 400 to 700 nanometers. That's the very small range that our eyes are tuned into. Infrared is the one that carries the most heat, right? Well, the frequency that hits with CO2, the way the greenhouse effect works, okay, the amount of energy coming in and being trapped, it's about 90% already of what it can get. So just because it goes from 400 parts per million and up, it's not the greenhouse effect from CO2 is not going to continue linearly to increase. Number one. Number two, the effect of CO2 greenhouse effect warming is minuscule. Okay, the very big contributors, the major contributors to global warming, and I'm just using that term not as global warming the concept, but actual physical warming of the globe. Okay, is the sun, the output, and the clouds, water vapor clouds. Water vapor, water has a very high specific heat capacity. Water is very high. That's why it's used in steam plants. It's got a lot of good properties. One of them is very high specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity is just what it sounds. How much heat for a given mass of a substance, how much heat it can hold, which means it has like a mass. Like imagine the momentum that a lead car has versus an aluminum car. The lead car, it takes more energy to get it moving, but then it has more stored energy, let's say, in its momentum, right? Whereas whereas the aluminum car would have less. Water has a very high specific capacity. Takes a lot of energy to raise the temperature, but that's good because it stores for a given mass. It stores a lot of energy. That's why it's used, in steam plants to transport the energy from the heat source to where it's going. So that's one thing. A little basic physics there for you. So the water vapor and the sun's output are major. Which I mean, think about it. You walk outside during the day, it's a lot fucking hotter than it is at night. Imagine that. And the temperature of the Earth, the average temperature, follows the output of the sun very well. And more specifically, one thing I heard in one of the docs I just saw recently that they were finding out there's a direct inverse correlation to gamma ray output, where the gamma ray output goes up, the energy received by the Earth, the temperature reduced. When the gamma ray output of the sun goes down, energy absorbed, right, warming goes up. It's directly inverse, which that's a recent one, so that's going to be very interesting. So those are the major factors. The other thing that they say is, the feedbacks in the system. You have, I mean, even with the most powerful computers, the most they can go out is a few days. I think they can go out now 5 or more days, but I mean, there's just so many factors involved. You have a gaseous atmosphere. You have the ocean. You have rotating Earth with the Coriolis effect. You've got Gulf Stream. You've got jet stream. I mean, mountains. The way the water flows on the continents, it goes up with the Gulf Stream. All these factors, dude. Even with the massive computers, the most they go out is a few days. And they've got more because they massive amounts of computing power to try to predict. So in the atmospheric models that they use, this is the big one that they just ignore. The models that they used before, all the predictions for temperature increase, 20 years later, 30 years later, it didn't happen. They just, well, let's do another model. Like, dude, you've been predicting this shit like for 40 years and you're like 0 for 100. At what point do you say, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about? But they don't do that. They tweak the numbers. The amount of tweaking that they do, they could make the model basically, whatever you want. If you've done computer programming, certain mathematical formulas, you adjust something depending upon the equation. You adjust a factor a very small amount, and it can have a very large effect on the output. The CO2, one of these guys said, one of the docs I saw, that they were doubling. They were putting in twice as much CO2 into the atmosphere and getting double the temperature that they were actually supposed to get. Our CO2 has gone in. I forgot what the number is, man. I'm coming straight from memory. The numbers that he was saying is 0.48, 0.49% increase, something like that. And they were putting in 1% or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact units. But they were basically putting in double into the model of the CO2 increase in the atmosphere. And imagine that the effect was twice what it should have been. Okay. But the big picture about CO2 is that when they say it's a poison or a pollutant or whatever, we breathe it out, the plants breathe it in. The ocean, the temperature causing the CO2 increase, it's not the other way around because the oceans store the CO2, right? So when the temperature goes up, the oceans release CO2. I believe the lag was, where we have a contribution here from an older lady blowing her nose. The output from the ocean, I believe it was 600 or 800 years lagging behind the temperature increase to where the CO2 increases. So the whole thing with Al Gore showing the temperature and the CO2 lining up, when you're looking at a graph from far away and it lines up, you don't notice from such a distance, you don't notice that it's slightly off. And that's the lag. He's very misleading with that. So I know I'm all over the place and I'm just giving you a bunch of information, but that's about CO2. So
How do you remember all of this trash?
I have a good memory, despite 50
This
years.
is an unfair debate, yo. I have a trash memory. How am I supposed to compete with this shit?
Well, that's what Google's for.
I have, dude. All I got is I have NASA's climate website open, and I'm looking at this information, right? And they're explaining that the temperature has gotten a lot hotter, right? But that could be because of humans interactions or humans increasing the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere and that causing more heat to get trapped underneath the atmosphere. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that is the case or what you're saying, which is the fact that what the fuck are you saying? Dude, you said so much stuff I couldn't grasp all of it.
No, I said troposphere because the atmosphere is all of it. The troposphere is basically, I think, from
Yeah, they're different. Yeah. What was it?
7 to 20
There's
miles. That's where the greenhouse takes effect, and that's where they're going to see the most warming if there was a greenhouse effect. Now, it's a good thing that you said a few things that are true. You said things that are true. Number one, yes, there's a
I don't
greenhouse.
even remember what I said.
You just said that NASA said that there was an increase from anthropomorphic, from man caused effects, man's contribution, humans, women's contribution to the
What the
atmosphere
fuck?
gas. You know,
Women.
fuck.
Dude, you're trying to get us banned on day one, right?
This fucking lady sneezing. Now I'm getting a fucking runny nose, or maybe it's the AC in here.
No, it's
Anyway,
you got the cold from the lady, man.
she was fucking over here sneezing over my shoulder. I don't know, you didn't see
She
it.
sneezed one time. One time.
Yeah, one time that I mentioned it. Anyway, whatever, dude. What were you saying? That you were reading from the NASA, right? From the NASA
Yeah,
website.
I was reading on this and they were explaining that there is a temperature increase. What you're saying is that the temperature increase may not be a direct result of humans what was it? Humans interaction with the environment. It could be
Right.
because of the sun increasing in the amount of energy that it's outputting, and the Earth keeping more of that energy. I'm not so sure about that because Wouldn't the sun have been? Wouldn't the sun's temperature be more, stable within this short period of time? It's only 150 years. So in the span of the universe and the sun's lifetime, 100 years isn't going to be that much time for the sun to heat up this drastically. You know,
The sun, the
it's a
sun,
very
no, the
short period
sun
of
has
time.
an 11-year cycle. The sun has an 11-year cycle where it goes, and that's how our hurricanes are also like an 11-year cycle. Yeah, the sun has an 11-year cycle where it increases and decreases. Yep, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
but the charts that I'm seeing here, they account from the 1980s. That's where this started. Wait, global temperature. They started from 1984, and since 1984, well, no, 1884. Sorry. So from 1884, there's been a temperature increase consistently
Of how
over
much?
the time to now. I'm trying to find out where it is. Okay, where's
Okay,
the
let
actual
me, let me,
temperature?
let me stop you right there. Not that I'm gonna, stop you, but I want to bring up a point. The things that you said were true. See, when you say that man has contributed to global warming, that's true. The real question is how much. And when you look at the temperature increase over the last 150 years, it's actually less than 1 degree. When you see the charts and they zoom in on the chart and you see the chart go from the bottom left to the top right, it's like, wow, look at that. You know, y
Right.
equals mx plus b. Look at that fucking slope, right? Then you look at that, look over at the axis of where it's marked off. Most of them start off like uh, zero point 0.4 or zero point 0.2 below of a reference zero. Then they have zero point 0.2, zero point 0.4, zero point 0.6. And if you look, it's actually moved less than 1 degree. But everybody's focused on that line going up, and you don't see that the whole span 1 degree, 1 degree, one
Yeah,
degree.
that's the thing. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing where it's actually indicating
Whenever you see the video,
how
whenever you see the
much
video,
it's
stop the
increasing.
videos, zoom in, and look over there
No,
and see.
this isn't a video. This actually is NASA's website. I sent you the link in the Hangout chat. Okay.
Just remember the Cartesian X, Y. Usually,
All right, now it's going up by a very small margin, but isn't this like a cumulative over time? I'm not sure how to use this data, to be honest.
okay.
Uh,
What is it that you're looking at?
all right, so they have. Scrap this here. All right, so I'm looking at this. It's kind of like what would I call it? It's like it's an image, but it's a scaled image showing you the temperature increase over the years,
right?
but it's not showing me the temperature. As I said, I sent you the link so you can have a look at it too.
Okay, where'd you send the link to?
It's a Google Hangouts actually has a Hangout chat feature, so you should be seeing a chat window on the left.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
you don't? Yeah, so on the left, you're gonna see some icons pop up, and the chat is gonna be the first icon. It's blue with white bars.
Oh, wow. There it is.
Oh wow, yeah. So you click that, and you got some links.
Wowsy, wowsy. No, because I had it turned off. There it is. Okay. Cool beans. Learn something
You're
new every
learning.
day, huh?
That's right.
I'm learning.
Yeah, so it's not showing me the actual temperatures.
Anomaly 0.9 C. Download data. Temperature
Yeah,
index.
so
Okay, yeah. Look at the first chart. It shows right there, right? 1880 to 2020. Exactly. Look at the y-axis. It goes 0. It went down, came up, and it goes all the way up, zero point 0.8 above 0. So let's go ahead and round it. 1 degree. 1 degree Celsius since
yeah, it
18.
doesn't seem like it's increasing by that much, right? It doesn't seem like it's
Imagine
that much.
that, bro. 1 degree. 1 fucking degree. You're like,
Yeah,
wow.
so like I'm looking at this data, right? And I'm seeing I'm seeing that insignificant increase, but I don't think that I'm smart enough to interpret that. It seems insignificant to me, but maybe a meteorologist, damn it, one of them
By
scientist guys would
smart
be able to
enough to
interpret
interpret
it better.
that. Okay, you don't have to be smart enough to interpret that. Dude, you got a graph. You got a Y and an X. Over the period from 1880 to 2020, you see the graph go, and it goes from 0, it goes down a few points of a degree, and comes back up. Basically, it's telling you that it went from, let's say, negative zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.9.
Well, went from negative 0.19 degrees Celsius to 0. So it basically gained,
Go ahead
well,
and round up. Listen, that's what I'm saying. Just go ahead and round up. But let's not get stuck on this. The difference, the increase, wherever they decided to center that zero on, the increase is 1 degree. So, like I was saying, the big picture here is that the things that you're saying, the things that they say are true. The detail is to what extent,
yeah.
okay, does CO2 do anything? To what extent has man does anything? To what extent does man's CO2 output do anything? Because when you look at the CO2 in the atmosphere, where it's coming from, okay, man's output or human beings output, industrial, the byproduct of burning hydrocarbons, fossil fuels, okay, when you look at how much that contributes to the atmosphere, and you put it next to the other major things. Fucking volcanoes, man. Volcanoes, big time. Forest fires, decomposition, bacteria. What are we gonna, you know, go after bacteria and decomposition of organic matter now? These are major contributors. Okay, not to mention we breathe. We put out CO2. Okay, the plants breathe it in, put out. The fucking basic biology. So
Yeah.
the contribution that burning hydrocarbons has to the entire output of all the other things that put CO2 in the atmosphere. That's the detail. Now, let's give it to them. Here's another hypothetical situation. Let's give it to them that we're going to sit here and we're going to stop burning fossil fuels. Okay? This is the real big dirty secret, whether or not you believe in climate change. Let's go ahead and assume we believe in climate change. It's CO2, carbon. Let's assume that for a moment. Okay? The dirty secret with environmentalists is there's too many of us fucking monkeys on a spaceship. That's the problem. Too
Yeah.
many fucking
Uh,
monkeys on a spaceship. Yes, you want to know why? All of your a person.
I agree with you there, but I don't want to be, a part of the
What?
group that gets cold.
Right? Yeah. Who gets to draw the line, bro? That's always the big
Well,
question.
the rich motherfuckers, that's who's going to draw the line.
The what?
Rich people.
It's the way it is. But it,
Uh,
it if you were to stop using all of your fossil fuel, you go Amish, go 100% Amish, dude. I mean, not even battery powered dildos. Okay, completely electric free. You have eliminated 35% of your carbon 35% of your carbon footprint. That means you've gone back to the fucking 19th century,
Stone Age. Yeah.
okay, or 18th century, okay, dude. I'm telling you, or it must be the cold air in here. It is kind of cold in here. My fucking nose running like I did
You
a
should have,
fucking 8 ball of coke.
you should have got a coffee.
Anyway, so understand this hypothetical Gedunkin thought experiment here for a moment, okay? You eliminate all your consumption of fossil fuel and electricity. Okay, you're 100% Amish, right? Guess what? That's 35% of your carbon footprint. The other 65% comes to respiration, food, farting, fecal matter, production of your clothes, you know, a myriad of other things that you do, a person does, okay, that has a, carbon footprint. Okay, so let's say that's 65%. Let's say
Yeah.
you go and you become you're Amish. Hey, you just ran away. So let's say you get completely Amish, no energy, electrical, modern electrical. You're 65% still. What does that mean? That means that for all your sacrifices, you have reduced 35%. And as soon as your neighbor squeezes out another puppy, right? That little biological bundle of joy represents at minimum 65%. Okay, your 35% sacrifice washed away. As a matter of fact, it compensates and eliminates two people, 35
Yep.
more or less,
Yeah.
almost. Okay, let's give it 30%, 35%. Okay, so as soon as your neighbor has another child, at minimum, okay, it's going to have the carbon footprint that two people would have to completely sacrifice all energy, all fossil fuel, all hydrocarbons for. Okay? What? 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 Everybody's supposed to go back to the 18th century? Get the fuck out of here, man.
No, like all right, I see your point with that solution, but that's not the way to go forward. What's going
That's
to
not.
happen is somebody is going to find some method of eliminating more CO2 than that method ever would. Because that's a very, I'm not trying to insult you, but that's a very crude method to solving this problem. Somebody's going to have to invent some.
What are you just fucking walking around your apartment or some shit?
Yeah, it helps me think. Helps me think. Yeah.
Helps me
So
think. Okay.
you're going to have to invent another way or another method or another item that you can use to reduce the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. We wouldn't be able to manage our CO2 because it's I would consider it a requirement of living. You know, it's just something that comes with the territory of being a human being. So somebody needs to invent something that would be able to reduce the amount of carbon emissions or
Well,
to reduce the amount of carbon emissions in the atmosphere. That's what's going to have to happen.
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How much? How much you pay? By the way, for our audience at home, my friend Nico's out on the island, and how much is a kilowatt hour of electricity cost out there? Because here in South Florida, it's about 11 cents per kilowatt hour.
I do not know that. I just pay my light bill when it comes, man. I don't look at that.
You never looked at it? You got it around there somewhere?
I've looked at it, but where? That's all the way in the kitchen.
Okay. Okay. Take a 3-minute intermission because I can't smoke in here. Those people at home go take a piss.
Yeah, you hear?
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. So you find it there?
Yeah, so we pay about
Works in there.
$9.6.
Say again.
Yeah, it's 9.6 Jamaican dollars per kilowatt
Okay.
hour.
What? Okay, but on your bill, it should say your consumption, and then your rate, and then your total. Usually, they've got a flat amount, and then maybe there's like a plateau. Like I know here, it's like the first 5,000, the first 3,000 or more. I don't remember the exact number, but the point is that it's a certain amount for the first, and if you go past that, it bumps it up. I think about a penny or a penny and a half per kilowatt hour, which is another thing. See, big picture that I wanted to mention here, okay, is that the media and the powers that be in their narrative, they count on people not having the ability to put a finer point on things and see things in perspective and context. For example, FPNL here, when they bumped up the power charge, right? They bumped it up, I believe, 2 cents. It was 7.5. The biggest bump they did, or 7.5 or 8 cents per kilowatt hour. They bumped it up 2 cents. 2 cents doesn't sound like a lot, right? Well, 2 cents when it was 8 cents, that's a 25% fucking increase, dude. You follow? 2 cents doesn't sound like shit, right? 2 pennies? That's nothing, right? From 8 pennies to 10 pennies, 25% increase in electricity. Yeah, yeah, just like that. Goes past people. And when when the people are on the news and they say big general things, people are impressed by that. They don't look at the details and they count on things like that. For some reason, the United States, man, it's almost like shunned upon sometimes, to be intelligent, smart, to have a
That's the case everywhere because if you show your intelligence, then people who are around you might deem it you being arrogant or speaking down to them.
uh, you know, unfortunately, without getting off the deep end, empires always rot from within. And, they
Yeah.
have the sickness of being victorious. They get fat and lazy and they rot from within, you know?
All
And
right.
that's one of the
So
things is most of the school children, most of the time now, it's, first of all, it's chaos, but most of them, it's more a question of social and too cool for school. And it's not dedicated to, they're more there for a social than for actual education. But
well, yeah, because they're kids. You can't expect kids to understand the significance of an education.
yeah, well, some of them
Well,
do.
at the same time, your parents need to instill it in you, but that's kind of hard to do for parents nowadays since they're working so hard. You don't really have that much time to interact with your kids.
Bro, it's monkey see, monkey do. We're monkeys. We're gonna do what our parents show us. They can talk all they want. Children emulate the behaviors of their parents. Their
You
parents
see, this
have
is something I can talk about. This is, psychology and human interaction. This climate shit is way above my intellectual pay grade, man. Like you're talking about maths and fucking degrees and shit. My brain went blank.
why? Why?
Why? Because there are numbers involved.
That's what I'm saying. Why? How many numbers did I throw at you? Fucking two pennies from 8 to 10, 25%.
Well, no,
What,
the pennies I
90%?
understood. Yeah, I understood
400
what
parts
you're
per
saying,
million.
right?
How many numbers
But
I threw at you? 6 numbers, dude. Anyway, look, I know I speed off a lot of times. I know. I'm sorry, but look, what we were talking about, the electricity costs. Okay, did you
yeah,
find it on your bill?
yeah, mine's about this is kind
Holy,
of confusing, but mine's about $9.6 per kilowatt hour. That's the
oh,
first.
Jamaican. Okay, 9.6 Jamaican
Yeah. Is it? I
kilowatt
don't know
hour.
if it's I don't know if it's dollars or is it cents? No, it's
No,
dollars.
it's probably Jamaican because your dollars are
Yeah,
like
it's Jamaican. Yeah,
okay. So if I can convert that to Jamaican,
we could just use U.S. dollars. We could use your system. That's
well,
fine.
because okay, it's 0.0073 United States dollar. So basically, if I put here the 9.6, okay, is going to be 7 cents. There you go, 7 cents per kilowatt hour compared to us, and we're paying. I believe we're up to here in South Florida up to 11 cents per kilowatt hour. You're paying less than we are for electricity. Imagine that. Okay,
Well,
the
yeah,
reason
because we're an island, we're not using that much.
no, it should be the other way around. You should be it
Why?
should be more expensive because of the way
Because
power
of
generation works. Power generation is definitely something that scales with volume. The larger plant you have, the more efficient it's going to be for power generation. Out there, what are you going to be running your plants on? And on top of that, you're going to have much more fluctuations as a percentage of the total output, which is a major problem on power grids. That's still a problem now. Is peak hours, how to how they have to turn certain plants on and off to take into account peaks, power drain peaks during the day. And out there, you're going to have a smaller system. The the drain during the peak is going to be much greater swing as a percentage of your total power output. So it's going to be more problematic to use that word.
Well, here's the thing.
Anyway, I
In
would
Jamaica,
expect it
we
to be
actually have two major cities, and everywhere else uses very little amounts of electricity. So Kingston
that.
and Montego Bay are the cities that would use up more current. So I think it would be more efficient for us. It would be cheaper for us because we're so small. That's how I would interpret it.
No. Maybe it's more about regulation here and the cost of doing business.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
The bottom line is what I was getting at is gasoline, fossil fuels, okay, are a very good source of energy, and we have a shitload. And Venezuela supposedly has discovered a trillion fucking barrels or more in the Orinoco uh, offshore belt that they found right off the northern coast of Venezuela. Over a trillion. Dude, Saudi Arabia has 265 billion, and they are the kings of oil.
Wait a
You
minute,
know,
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I have a question here.
that's a lot of wait a minute.
So
How many minutes? Wait.
yeah, is all right, are you getting to the point where you're trying to say that the reason why the media is pushing this climate change is because they want more people to be invested into renewable sources of energy so that way the US won't have to pay these external countries more money to get oil from them?
That might be a factor. The dude, it's about money. It always
Yeah.
is. And what it is they're pushing like the Paris Accord. What was it? Oh, if we use too much energy, we have to pay a carbon tax. Right now, this psychobabble chick, Cortez, Have you heard that chick? Ooh,
No.
boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, of course she comes in. Let's do a carbon tax. It's all about money, bro. It's about people need to use energy. There's no realistic substitute. There's no realistic substitute, okay, for fossil fuels that are as convenient, as plentiful, as portable. I mean, the convenience, a fluid. Compare it to electric cars. It takes hours to charge up a car. And it was something I was talking about earlier. But it's about taxing people for something they need to do. It's about
Yeah.
money. It's always going to be about money. It's going to be about money. Of course it is. That's what it's about. Yes. To answer your question. Now, what I was getting at with the energy was during these conferences, the third world that has not developed yet, okay, they need energy. And the consequences, I was watching one of these documentaries where the consequences of not having electricity, these people are having to burn basically cow dung and, different types of shit and peat moss and whatever to burn to have a heat source, to cook, to have light. They don't have electricity. What happens when that shit burns? It's a lot worse than, fossil fuels, and it's right in their house. It's not in a plant somewhere away where they can have filtration, some kind of trap, burning cleaner fuels than fucking cow dung and wood, which is, imagine a particularly coming
Well,
off.
wouldn't factories produce more carbon emissions than like a? I'm not
No,
sure
no,
if
no. Yeah, I'm
factories
not
would
talking.
produce
No, no,
more
I'm
than.
not talking about factories. I'm talking about electricity for the home, for living, lights, refrigerators, cooking. We're talking about people who don't have that and have to burn wood to cook and
Yeah.
burn a wax candle inside their hut, inside their house. They're getting respiratory diseases. Where if they had electricity, they wouldn't have that problem. It's costing them years of their life. And we, through this, not we, but the first world. I mean, we like first world nations in
Yeah, you
our,
guys.
yeah, you guys, in our, pious uh, virtue signaling, save the planet bullshit, are going to sit here and try to tell these people who need energy and electricity that they can't do it because the planet may warm another quarter degree in another 50 years. It, dude, it's costing people's lives, and it's tremendous fucking bullshit. Now that the first world has gotten their shit together and has a nice comfort standard of living, we're gonna say no, you can't use fuel. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? It's really that's consequences, not financial. I'm talking about people's lives and people getting fucked up, okay, because they're not allowed to use fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are plenty, especially coal, which the coal that's coming back now that Trump is allowed because Obama tried to kill coal. And he said he would, and he was trying to kill coal. And the United States is the Saudi Arabia of coal. The United States has got coal coming out of our fucking ass, bro. The United States has coal out the wazoo, and Canada, shitload of fucking coal. So you're gonna sit here and say this great energy resource that we have, eh, can't use it. Puts out carbon dioxide. Now, certain coal does have a certain problem, which is sulfur. That's a problem. That is a problem. We're not talking about greenhouse gases. Bad coal, dirty coal, which all coal is kind of dirty, but the sulfur, like with diesel, sulfur is a bad juju in the atmosphere because you know what sulfur turns into or produces in the atmosphere? You ever heard of something called sulfuric acid, battery acid? Yeah, bad juju, acid rain, and that is not an exaggeration. So sulfur is a bad juju. Ain't no fucking debate about that. So that's why they were trying to come up with this thing called clean coal, right? And a lot of people say clean coal is an oxymoron. It can't happen. It is dirtier than burning regular gasoline, kerosene, diesel. It is dirtier than that. But, you got to find a way to make it cleaner. So,
You see, I didn't
so
know. I didn't know about the United States coal reserves, and they do lead. Yeah, they got. 28% of the world's coal reserves. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yep. So, and now Venezuela, with all of the petroleum they found, it's supposedly it's heavy crude and heavy crude sands, and it's underwater, but I don't think it's heavy crude. It's not the light sweet crude from Libya. Libya's got the nicest fucking petroleum on the planet, and Muammar Gaddafi, bro, he tried to change the United States dollar. He tried to compete and turned it into fucking gold standard for. We're not gonna go off on that fucking thing, but basically, there's a lot to do with petroleum. Petroleum is the shit right now, as far as the one resource. The United States can print money. We can't print oil. Okay, and that's why we were buying so much oil, because you can give the Saudis all the dollars you want. Okay, here, you want another fucking pallet of $100 bills? Take it. We'll print some more. You cannot print fucking petroleum, and when it's fucking gone, Jack, you cannot put those $100 bills in your gas tank. It doesn't work that way. Petroleum is the number one most important resource for any industrialized nation. You cannot have industry, you cannot have a modern society, and you certainly cannot wage war. And the power of any nation is its ability to wage war. And you cannot wage war, defend yourself, do any kind of military in this 21st century without fucking petroleum. Everything from fuel to lubricants. As far as society is concerned, so many of our pharmaceuticals come from petroleum, plastics, rubbers, everything, bro. Petroleum is a shit. So we're stating the obvious here, but look at that. For fuck's sakes, man. Even a fucking security guard looked up, bro. Jesus Christ. I tell you,
Have
bro.
some self-control, friend.
Bro. I may be old, but I ain't fucking dead, bro.
Maybe old, but I'm not dead.
I'm still kicking. So anyway, I've been running most of my mouth here, bro. So you gotta tell me. Talk to me, bro.
Dude, this energy.
Stuff here.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really look too much into the energy issues. I always figured that renewable sources of energy would be the way. I figured that having a mixture of renewable sources of energy and crude oil would be a lot better for the world, because it would help us to reduce the amount of crude oil that we need and have it extend for a longer period of time, because crude oil doesn't. It's a replenishable source. It does replenish, but it's extremely slow, right? So
what's extremely slow? I'm sorry.
The replenishment of crude oil.
The crude oil, you say?
Yeah, oil, like oil in the fossil fuel.
Sorry, I thought I mistakenly heard food oil. My mistake. Go ahead.
Food oil? No way. Yeah, so it does regenerate over time, but it's like over billions of years when you have decaying matter and decaying plant life and animal life. But what I figured is having, a more hybrid system between renewable sources of energy and crude oil would be a lot better for everybody, because you can still use crude oil to power houses and businesses and buildings, but you can reserve renewable sources of energy for smaller things that we as humans use, like I don't know, like street lights, charging your phones. I don't know. Someone else has to figure that out. But as it goes for the yeah, you're breaking up now. Your feed is slowing down. Hello? Hello? You there? Yeah, your feed just like froze for a minute.
There you go. You're back.
Oh, you just like froze for a minute on my screen, so it would have been a couple.
Yeah. I stopped having all of your audio. I couldn't hear any of your audio there.
All right. So as I was saying, with regards to coal, wouldn't it be beneficial for them to find a method to deal with what was the carcinogen that you said?
Sulfur.
Yeah. Isn't there a way for you to
Carcinogen,
yeah, sorry, my mistake. I was trying to remember what it was. So isn't there a
toxic,
way?
toxin,
Yeah,
bad
isn't there a
juju,
way to use coal but reduce the
losing
amount of
you
sulfur in the
completely.
atmosphere?
No, you're. I'm hearing like every fifth word.
Shit, I don't know what the cause is. I don't know. Let me see here.
Now I can hear you fine. Now I can hear you fine.
Okay. So I was saying, isn't there a way to make use of coal without in my own brands? Isn't there a way to make use of coal without having sulfur get emitted into the atmosphere?
That's the $1 million question, the $1 billion question. Yeah, it's called clean coal, bro. That's the biggest problem with coal is sulfur. And some coal is cleaner than others by the sulfur content. Just like petroleum.
Yeah.
Petroleum is light sweet crude, has a lower sulfur content. You know what? Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure about that. I think I haven't looked that over the wall. But the sulfur content, especially of diesel fuel has some sulfur content, and the lighter content. I gotta look it up now because I won't be able to think until I'm certain on that. That's how my mind works.
What?
That, when I don't know something, I got a light sweet crude. Okay, sulfur content. Okay, yeah. See, that was it. Petroleum containing higher levels of sulfur is called sour crude. Sweet crude contains small amount of hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide. High quality, low sulfur crude is commonly used for processing gasoline in high demand, particularly in industrialized nations. Yeah. So yeah, sweet crude oil is a lower sulfur content, and especially for diesel. See, diesel fuel has more sulfur than gasoline, you know, and also has particulate. Unfortunately, I believe the best engines, the moment from an engineering point of view, of
Yeah, you're
what's
breaking up now.
isn't be
Okay.
like a 2 liter turbo diesel for passenger cars. Yeah, you can do smaller, more efficient. Than it, it just gets to be a putt putt. And more, of course, you could have, but then So I think the nice happy medium is about a 2 liter turbo diesel. You get good torque. The good thing about diesel engines is they're always going to have more torque than gas. Not always going to have more. Everything else held constant. Diesels have more torque than gasoline engines because they have a longer stroke. So the stroke of the engine, the crank is wider, so it has more leverage. So that's why diesels have torque. It's also the limiting factor why you can't have higher RPMs in diesels because that fucking crank is the stroke is so long, that fucking crank is spinning around. You start hitting limitations, not valve lift, other limitations. So, but torque is what gets you up and going. So if you're gonna have a reasonable city car, and you don't need to go above 80 or 90, and diesels can go faster than that. But I'm saying you really don't need to go above 85 or 90 in a fucking regular passenger car for everyday use. You really
All
don't.
right, all right. That's good and fine, but here's the problem with that. The problem with that is even if it works well, people may not want to buy it. You're going to have to market it to them. That's the thing.
Right, but when you can get 45 miles per gallon and still have a car that gets up and goes, because a turbo diesel will get up and go.
All right, so you would like that to be like the industry standard for cars in the city?
I think it's going to get to that point where right now we've got basically 2.5 four bangers, and engines have gotten a lot smaller, dude, from
Yeah.
70s. They have. Okay. And I'm just, from a passenger car, they've got 2 liters, 2.2 liters. Some cars have 1.8 gasoline engines, and they've got to rev. They have to rev, okay, to get going. I don't know if we should go off on this whole thing of how internal combustion engines work. It's basically an air pump. So power is derived from torque, okay, times RPM divided by 5252. That's how you get horsepower from torque. Okay, so you can tell for the same given torque, if you can jack those fucking RPM up, you're gonna have more horsepower. You don't have a lot of torque in the beginning. You got to wind the fuck out of that engine, and when you wind that fuck out of the engine, it has more explosions per second, more strokes, more air coming through, more fuel being burned. Yeah, you put out more power. You're revving the fuck out of it. I don't like revs. Anyway, go off on that thing. Well, I'm just saying that to have something that's reasonable to get up and go. It, listen, I'll give you an example. There was a car. Did you ever see the 2000 era Nissan Sentra? Have you ever been in a car that you accelerate and it doesn't do anything until it gets up to like 4,000 RPM? I mean, it just barely moves and you got to wind the fuck out of it to get it to go. You ever been in a car like that?
Yeah, once, I think, in the past.
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that fucking annoying as fuck? Or don't you prefer a car that you accelerate and it pulls and it gets going without having to fucking wind out to 9,000 RPM? You know, don't you want to?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm used to those cars now.
What do you mean?
I'm very used to them now.
Used to which cars?
As in the cars that get going faster.
Right. Okay. Now, so that's preferable. Now, that comes at the expense of fuel consumption. Okay, it does. When you have a car that has power that can do that, a gasoline powered car that can have good acceleration, it's not going to get more than 20 odd miles per gallon. Most cars get 20 something miles per gallon, 25, 28. And if you accelerate hard, it's going to drop into the high teens, low 20s. I mean, that's just fucking thermodynamics, but it's just how it works. Whereas if you have a diesel, turbo diesel, the reason I keep saying turbo diesel is because turbos have the best of both worlds. They 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 emulate a higher a higher displacement engine by compressing the air that's coming in. You know how a turbo works?
Nope.
You know how a turbocharger works? No? Okay. Well, basically, a turbocharger is two turbines, okay? And, okay. An internal combustion is, we're going way off this, but hey, no problem. People that still want to watch, they're still here, you know? So,
we have people watching.
I don't know. No, like live right now, no, because I didn't broadcast it. So this is gonna be a uploaded video or whatever. So basically, I mean, if you want to know how an internal combustion engine works, it's basically at its root, it's a fucking air pump. Okay, internal combustion engine works by burning fuel with air that has oxygen. You know that much, right?
Yeah.
I know that much. I don't mean to be condescending, but I gotta set a baseline.
You're explaining something that I don't know. Like if I don't know, then I don't know.
Okay, but I just don't want to be condescending, but I have to know.
Dude, I'm not gonna be a bitch about you explaining something to me.
Okay, so the chemistry involved when you're burning, you have a fuel to air ratio, right? And for a given stroke of the engine, all internal combustion engines have four phases: suck, squeeze, bang, blow. And I'm not kidding. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. A four-stroke engine is going to suck the air into the cylinder. It's going to squeeze it on the compression. Okay? Hit the spark, the bang to push down the piston, turn the crank, and blow exhaust out. Four-stroke. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
All right.
All combustion, even jet engines. If you look at their stages, the first compressor is going to suck the air in, squeeze it with the compressor, bang in the combustion changer, and blow it out the rear. Jet engine, still the same thing: suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Anyway, so you can see that a certain amount of fuel is going to burn with a stoichiometric ratio, a properly metered air fuel mixture is going to have enough oxygen for the fuel, because the fuel needs oxygen and in a gasoline spark. Those are the three things you need. So any more air than you need, okay, it's running too lean, not enough power. If you run too much fuel, then oxygen coming in, it's too rich, you're just dumping fuel. It's got to be a perfect mixture. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. Now,
All right.
the energy is going to come from the number of chemical molecules that get burned combustion, combining with the oxygen, okay, and the heat they put out, okay. So a displacement of an engine, it has a certain amount of bore and stroke. That's the displacement. Is the volume of air that it can bring in, and there's a certain amount of fuel you can mix with that certain amount of air. Okay, naturally aspirated. They're called naturally aspirated engine. They work on the natural air pressure we have here. That the engine sucks it in, squeeze, bang, blow, right? Forced induction, okay, is going to be either turbo or supercharger. And it's just what it sounds like, a forced induction, where the air is forced in to the engine at a higher pressure than the atmosphere around you. Now, higher pressure, since it's a gas, have a higher pressure, it means you have more molecules of air for a given volume. When you have more molecules of air, with a proper balance, you will have more molecules of fuel. More fuel, more air for a given size, you're going to have more combustion, more power. That's the trick. So by forcing the air in at a higher pressure, you're forcing in more molecules of air to burn with more fuel. That's what you're doing with any kind of forced induction. Turbo is one of them. Now, a supercharger is driven off a belt. That causes a parasitic loss off the engine because it requires energy to drive that blower, the turbocharger.
That's a supercharger, you said?
Supercharger is belt driven. Okay, back before the 50s, turbos were called superchargers. But now, superchargers, generally speaking, superchargers are anything that's driven by a belt
Okay.
with gears. It's mechanically driven somehow, as opposed to a turbocharger, which is driven from the exhaust, right? As the engine, remember the last stage is the blow, and it pushes it out the exhaust. Well,
Hmm.
that gas moving out, it goes past a little turbine that capitalizes or uses that exhaust flow to spin a turbine blade, which is on an axis, and the other turbine is on the intake. So the exhaust spins one fan turbine, which is on the same axis as another turbine that is on the intake. You're having the exhaust spin a blade, spin a turbine that spins a turbine on the intake. So it capitalizes on the exhaust gas leaving, okay, to spin a turbo and compress the air coming in. Earlier turbos, they had what was called turbo lag because you didn't get too much power going until that exhaust got that turbine spinning up and it could compress and force more induction. Now, through better designs, they have two-stage turbos, a lot of different tricks to try to minimize the turbo lag. Bottom line is that it's forced induction, okay? And the good thing about turbos is they're kind of like on demand, where if you're driving chill, okay, the car is practically naturally aspirated and running like a regular 2 liter. You know what I mean? Because you're not forcing it, so it can be efficient like like a regular 2 liter. Okay, but then if you wind out the engine, those that RPM pushing out all that exhaust gas is gonna spin that fucking turbo up. And when you spin up that fucking turbo, it's gonna compress a lot of air, higher boost pressure coming in, you get more power output. So it allows an engine to have, Jekyll and Hyde, where you have regular operations that are efficient, but higher RPMs, forced induction, more power. You understand? So, and a turbo diesel is just a turbo on a diesel. The good thing about a diesel is that, like I said, it's mostly torque. Okay, so you get up and go, and diesel engines are more efficient than gasoline powered engines. Okay, and that has to do with the longer stroke and the higher compression ratio of diesel engines, which gas engines are 8.5 to 12, sometimes 13 to 1 compression, and diesel engines are 22 to 1 compression. That has to deal with where the piston starts to where it ends up, the difference in size, 22 to 1. So, I mean, we've really gone off, but So,
You know what's funny? I'm actually
learning.
imagining what's happening, and I think I understand how it works.
Yeah. I mean, it's really simple. I mean, people, get a phobia to learning things. Internal combustion engines, they're everywhere. It's really
Yeah,
simple.
I figured I wouldn't be able to understand it.
Well, I do have somewhat of a good ability to explain
Yeah,
things.
yeah, 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 yeah. Mhm.
So I've been told. What can I say? Anyway, um, so if we're going to use petroleum, fossil fuels for cars, you can't beat that. And when you consider all the factors where you have usability versus efficiency, because you know I see these smart for twos in these little econo boxes. You think about somebody plunking down $25,000. Now, some people don't care, man. They want something safe, economic, point A to point B. That's fine. Other people think, like myself, put down $25,000. You know, I enjoy driving my car sometimes. You don't drive like an asshole, but you can drive a little bit spirited and enjoy your vehicle when nobody's around, the conditions are proper. You can enjoy your vehicle. If you've got a little smart for two, bro, it's a fucking go kart with fucking street legal lights. It's fucking, it's a little fucking go kart. People are gonna plunk down $20,000 for this. It's a hard sell. Whereas you balance that with some kind of usability and enjoyment, and that's where I think a 2 liter turbo diesel, which has that grunt that you can get up and go, but this brings me back to something that I learned from my when I had the remember the AMG I had that was
Yeah.
fucking sick fast, dude. That car was just sick fast, and and I've had little. I had when I was in high school, I had a Fiat Spider, you know, a '78 Fiat Spider. It was a 2 liter engine. It was actually had some Ferrari designs in it. Fiat Spider. Fiat was an Italian car, and it wasn't a Ferrari engine, but it was pretty advanced for its time, And it was a little two banger, and it had a great little 5 speed, and it was a convertible. Fucking love that car. And if you look at the numbers, I think it had 105 horsepower, which is shit compared to today. But how it sounded fucking beautiful. And what I'm getting at is that driving the car, you wind out the gears, you yank, yank, snick it, and you have fun driving the car, and it pulls, and you have that acceleration for 8, 9, 10 seconds, and you're enjoying it for 10 seconds. You get up to maybe 60, 65 miles an hour. You know, with the AMG, bro, when you drop the fucking accelerator, I was up to fucking triple digits, 5, 6 seconds. You're arrestable. That's arrestable. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's wicked fast, but you can't really enjoy it because you're always worried about that shit. You understand? Whereas a little small 4 cylinder with a nice 5 speed, you're a little bit more interactive. You're winding it out. You're having a little bit more fun. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sort of, kind of. You understand? Okay. So anyway, yes, you can have sick performance cars, but in the end, dude, I got so many fucking tickets with that car. It was insane. Yeah, dude, I got 3 tickets the night I fucking bought it. The night I bought it. Anyway, um, so balancing that with something that's reasonable that you can enjoy, okay, with something that's also economic. You get a 2 liter turbo diesel, right? It pulls. It will have acceleration. Diesels have torque. They will pull you. They get you up to highway speed. It's a reasonable car. It's not something like a little fucking econo box that you got to worry about. Can I merge onto the highway when I got 4 people in the car? You turn on the air conditioner and fucking the whole thing slows down. You know what I mean? That's not the case. A diesel has torque. It will get you up to highway speeds, but it doesn't have that insane top end that you really don't need. Nobody reasonably needs to go over 90 miles an hour. Sure you
Yeah, but
can.
they want it. They want it.
Okay, fine. Then you get yourself a fucking V6 V8 powered car and go do fucking 150, whatever the fuck you want to do. Okay? But once you've gotten that out of your system and you've had your fun and you come back to something that's reasonable day in, day out, you don't really need to go over 85, 90 miles an hour, bro. And everybody does it here. Even though speed limit is 70, people do 85, 90 on I-75 and the turnpike. conditions willing, it's a nice dry day, not too much traffic, 85, 90. Even the fucking cops are doing 85, and the speed limit is 70. Okay, so it's the thing is within reason, especially we have something here. It's called the express lanes, which is
Yeah.
basically basically you're paying to speed. Okay, because even the cops when they get in express lanes, people on 995, we're doing 85 with the cops in the traffic, and they don't do anything. So it's kind of like this thing where people are paying to be able to speed in the express lanes. It's weird, and I've noticed in the last couple of years, cops really aren't fucking around here. Don't give a fuck about traffic unless there's an accident, man. They really have lightened up a lot. They don't give a fuck. Yeah, you're doing 100, you're gonna get fucking pulled over, dude. I mean, that's just stupid. And if you're speeding in the rain, that's fucking stupid too. So you're gonna get a ticket there. But like, if the conditions are good, if it's dry, sun's out, there's not a lot of traffic, and you're doing 85 or 90, cops ain't gonna fucking pull you over. So that's what I'm saying. That's like the upper limit, and 90 is a pretty good speed, bro. I mean, you really start to burn fuel past 70. Once you go above 65 or 70, you really start to consume fuel. You really do. And 90 is like for me now. Like I said, bro, dude, I've ridden bikes at 180. Okay, I rode a bike from Connecticut down here. The AMG did 155. They had a governor, and I used to hit it all the time. So, I've had my fun with fucking speed. And day in, day out, 80, 85 is a good speed to go around. You go above that, you're going to start burning a lot of fuel. I mean, that's just how it is. It gets expensive, and not because of tickets, but because you're burning a lot of fucking fuel. So that's why I'm saying when you settle down to it, you trickle it all down. A 2-liter turbo diesel for a good car, as opposed to having these cars that have a 2.5-liter gasoline engine, but you got to rev it up. And I hate fucking revving all the time when you're accelerating. Rev, rev, rev. I prefer the torque, man. I prefer to have the fucking torque. So that's my fucking rant about that, dude. Anyway,
You've had a lot of time to think about this shit.
it's like I said, it's just because of the different vehicles I've had. So and bikes too, bro. And I fucking dude, I'll take a bike over an economy car any fucking day of the week, man. I still want to get me a liter. Anyway, as far as electric cars, I was talking about with this guy, Nelson. We were arguing earlier about hydrogen vehicles, right? Burning hydrogen, as opposed to alternatives to petroleum, right? And the thing is, the problem with electric vehicles is the time that it takes to recharge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes hours, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like 8, 9, 6 hours. It's I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think to myself, why can't they have, and Watch, they'll probably end up doing this, and I've said this on a video. I know somebody's had to have thought of this. Why can't they have, okay, like you change the batteries in this fucking thing, right?
Yeah, just replace the batteries. Yeah.
Go to a station, just like they have propane tanks. I don't know if you have propane tanks down there, but here, propane tanks, you exchange them, for your barbecue and whatever. You just exchange a tank. Now, granted, a lithium-ion battery is larger and more complicated than a fucking tank full of natural gas. Okay, the tank either leaks or doesn't, and has gas or doesn't.
Yeah, but it's still more efficient.
No, what I'm saying is, as far as the exchange process, where someone trying to bring in and slough off a fucked up battery, they pull into the station, they know their battery's fucked up, they want to exchange it and get a better one. It's not going to be that simple to just swap out the battery. There'll probably have to be some kind of a momentary test. Okay,
Yeah.
you pull into the filling station or the swap station, okay, and you've got your lithium battery has 12% left, okay, and you want to swap it out. They pull your battery, okay, and do a quick test, load test, or whatever, just so you get a functional battery, that you don't have a fucked up battery and you're trying to scam them. Okay? You always got to think of people trying to scam you, because that's what people do. So there would have to be some kind of a fucking
Yeah,
test.
but you replacing the battery and having it inspected is still going to be a shorter period of time than having to wait like 6 hours for it to charge.
Without a doubt. I'm just saying what's involved. I'm just giving you an overview of what I think would be involved. You pull in,
All right, okay.
you swap it out, they check your level. Okay, you got 12%, right? And now all of this, granted, all of this is going to depend heavily on standardized batteries, where now each manufacturer is having different ones.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
Oh, yeah, I heard it. Yeah, I heard it. Anyway, bro, to have standardized batteries, just like they have AAA's, AA's, C's, D's, whatever, and they could probably, hit upon having three standard type batteries, small, medium, and large. And maybe you got two smalls, two mediums, one large and a medium, whatever. Nail it on three fucking sizes. So when somebody pulls in and their standard dimensions, the physicality of it, the physical and the mechanical design of the battery is fairly standard. They can do that. Already, these fucking idiots have different types of connectors for electric cars. They're already doing that shit different. Have you noticed that? Toyota, Porsche, um, Nissan,
That's
Leaf.
kind of to be expected at this point, though.
They have three or four different types of connectors already.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Cars haven't even gotten to be popular.
But the thing is, there's no kind of regulation associated with this, is there?
Well, the laws of physics.
Yeah, but you see, that's the problem. There's no regulation associated with this, so there's no reason for them to keep a universal standard. There's no reason for them.
I would think that eventually it's going to, funnel down to a practical standard, whatever is most.
Yeah, I would like that too. I would like it to. It would make more sense to make everything easier.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, that it will on its own, whether they want to or not. If they are true to themselves to having a purely functional, reliable connection, it's gonna end up standard. They're not gonna have weird things. Of course, the shape and the physical is gonna change, but they should, get
I don't know
something.
about that. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. Some companies might just want to be different for whatever
Well,
stupid
if
reason.
history is anything, porn industry is going to be the one that decides what our electrical connections are, because porn tends to decide everything. They decided fucking VHS over Betamax. They decided DVD over fucking HD.
But that's for
Blu-ray.
media, though. That's for media.
Porn, dude. The porn industry. Yeah, it's fucking weird like that. Remember? Did you see Tropic Thunder, man?
Yeah,
Tropic Thunder.
that was a weird movie.
He turns around and he goes, "You've been talking to me this whole time."
Hello? There you go. It's gone again. Hello? Hello?
Is like they have these batteries. They don't have one big battery like they have in cars now, and they don't have them, under a ton of fucking shit. They have them in such a way where they can actually come right out the bottom side somehow. I know they could if they wanted to, okay, or have it right in the back of the car, okay, somewhere where there is some kind of a hatch or something, just like a larger version of this, for fuck's sakes. How fucking difficult can it be? They fucking pull those bitches out, do a quick test, see what level they are. You got them at, okay, 11%. Check.
Hello?
Oh, wait a minute. You got that cheap ass generic battery. Really? Yeah, I'm here, buddy. What?
Yeah. You actually, the feed is like pausing and then catching up.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just saying, the steps involved. They test it. How much charge you got? This one's at 100, so we're gonna charge you 88% charge. Boom, boom, sign, throw it in the car. You've got a full tank of electrical gas in 10 minutes. They do that.
It's not going to be that. I can promise you, it's not going to be that simple. The companies are going to find some way to make it difficult. And I don't know how. I don't know how, but they're going to find some way to make it difficult.
Bro, if they do that, it solves the big problem with electric cars.
Yeah, it does.
The problem with electric cars is range and refill. You're going to a gas station now, fucking 3 minutes, you got a full tank. 4 minutes. You got at least half a tank or a full tank of gas. You got another 400, 500 miles. In 5 minutes, you're in. You don't have to go inside. I don't know how it is there. You don't have to go inside. Here, you fucking do everything at the pump with a card. You don't have to go inside. And in 5 minutes, you got fucking another 500-mile range, get it and go. If they can do that with electric cars, which now most electric cars only have about a 300-mile range, okay? They only have about a 300, 250, 270, 300, depends on your drive. And they definitely have to get on the regeneration because that's big. That's total heat loss is friction brakes. They're all having regenerative brakes now. Okay. You know what regenerative brakes is? Just what it sounds like. Instead of having, of course, you have physical, mechanical, friction brakes, but what they do is you apply, a field current on the motor to have it generate. You turn the motor from a motor into a generator to generate, regenerative the battery to get some of the energy back from your momentum. You put energy into the vehicle in momentum, you pull it back out by slowing it down and putting it in the battery. It makes a huge fucking difference, huge difference. And of course, DC motors, have an incredible amount of torque. They're all linear torque. That's a function of DC motors. They have linear torque. They have the same torque at 1 RPM that they do at 60 RPM or 100 RPM or 300 RPM. They all have a flat torque curve, which is really really cool. That's why they're good for trains and shit like that. DC motors have they don't have a torque curve. They have torque. So that's why you ever notice the hypercars that they're building now with electric boost? They have some sick fucking track times. Holy
Okay.
shit, dude. This girl wants some attention. Anyway, definitely wants some attention. Wearing fucking yoga pants, shaking her ass anyway. Anyway, so those electric regenerative. Okay,
Oh my god.
what was I talking about? Anyway, man.
Dude, your brain froze up real fast.
Dude, if you'd have seen that shit, bro, dude, I'm in Walmart, bro. Every once in a while, you see some fucking chicks here. They don't have booties, bro. They got booties. Okay? They shit fucking stick out like a fucking half moon, bro. Like, bam! You know? Dude, I don't care how big the ass is. As long as you fucking got a little tiny waist, they can have a 3-foot ass. But if you got a tiny waist and goes like that, dude, forget it, bro. I'm powerless, man. I'm powerless. Anyway,
Look
bro.
at you.
Anyway, let me get a smoke, bro. Go get something to drink or something.
I think we should cut it here.
We gotta wrap this up real good. I've been running my mouth, man. You need to tell me something, bro. You've been sitting there just draining my fucking knowledge. I'm gonna charge your ass. I'll be right back.
Can't charge me shit. Wait, I don't want. Let's exit out of all these.
Hey,
Yeah,
you disappear.
I just turned off my screen
Oh, get
so
ready.
none of the perverts would see me.
Normally, I wouldn't have bought a soda because I've got cups for all the places in my car because they all have fountains now, right? So I just buy one cup, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and I just walk in and refill.
You sure you want to say that on the internet, my friend?
They don't care, man. Bro, the employees of all these places, they've seen me park the car, get out, walk in, fill up my car, walk right back out. Not one fuck given, bro. They don't give a fuck. People don't give a
Now
fuck.
you're throwing the employees under the bus.
Employees, dude. What the fuck, bro? You Jimmy Hoffa now and shit? You know what the fuck, dude? You just fucking picking a fight. Listen. So, what have we learned?
A whole lot of shit. Man, this is like a whole mechanics class, man. I
Oh
felt
man.
like I needed a notebook or something.
Yeah, well, hey, the thing is, bro, we started off on climate change. We're talking about fossil fuels and internal
Yeah, that's
combustion
how
engines.
conversations go. That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Well, that's why the name of this is. I was thinking, remember the video, the domain that you were working on, Hard Won Experience?
Oh, that one. Oh, you could use that. Might as well.
Yeah. Well, that's the name of the video, man. I think that's the name of the video series we're gonna do, Hard Won Experience. Because eventually, I'm gonna have to tell you about all my stupid fucking mistakes I've made.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Right? I'll tell you right now. Lesson number one: never eat a strange pussy in the dark. An old toothless man told me that. Get it? Ah,
Dude, what
damn,
kind
bro,
of
that
life
was
were you living?
some serious fucking lag you had there, buddy.
I'm I'm amazed that you're alive and STD free. Don't
I am.
even say it. Don't even if you do have one, don't say it on the internet. Just don't say it. Don't
Single,
say if you did or didn't have one. You don't have one. Just don't. No, you don't have
no
one.
dependence, no dependence. Single, no dependence, HIV negative.
Ah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, yeah. That's it. Damn.
Never eat a strange pussy in the dark.
I can't explain that one. I want explain that one.
Playing that one, dude. You fucking woman in her bedroom. It's
No,
dark.
there's a story. Is there a story behind this? That's what I should say. Is there a story behind this?
No, bro, it's general fucking
All
knowledge,
right.
dude. You
Okay.
don't do
All right.
anything to a
Okay.
woman that you haven't had a nice visual inspection on,
All
bro.
right. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how good her complexion is, no matter how young and fresh she looks, you always give them a nice visual inspection and get to know them first, bro.
Right, that's
Oh,
obvious, but I figured that you had a bad experience and that's why you had that
no, my dad taught me young.
my dad taught me.
That's why I haven't had a situation like, gonorrhea of the tongue or some shit. You know, but I do wake up with short hairs in my teeth sometimes that aren't from the flavor saver here. Hey man, how
Man.
you like this? How you like this stash, man? Got
Uh
that Frank Zappa thing going. You
the
know,
thing, the stash is all right, but this here, can you shave that?
no man, that's what makes it complete. If I shave that,
Yeah, it makes it completely retarded. Get rid of that.
it makes it completely retarded. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something about that little thing right there irks me. It doesn't look right.
Irks you. It irks you,
Yeah, it just upsets my stomach.
dude. Have you ever seen? You know who Frank Zappa is?
Let's have a look at this bitch.
Oh my god, you don't know who Frank
He's
Zappa is?
probably dead, right? Yeah, he's a dead bitch.
Oh, he's a fucking music pioneer in the '60s and '70s. Serious music pioneer.
He looks like a cult leader. Wait, is he alive? Oh, he's dead. Oh yeah, he's dead. That's too bad.
I got your gun.
He's dead. Wait, what was that? Yeah, hello?
Tired, man. Bro, you're looking up Frank Zappa. The audience is waiting.
Yeah, I just looked at the guy. I think our feed is getting messed up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, I think we should end it here because I'm getting
Yeah.
tired. My brain's
Tired. It's
shutting
1:30
off.
here, bro. It's probably what, 12:30 there? All right. So anyway, what are your
Yeah,
final thoughts on climate change?
I forgot about that.
Wrap it up.
I
Wrap
understand.
it up.
I understand way less now than I understood before because you've shared some information with me that I didn't even think about. All right. It does.
Dude,
Right. So let's
you're starting
clear.
to sound like you're drunk. You sound like
Yeah, because
now you
let me
just
tell you something, dude. 5 a.m.
say again.
I've been up since 5 a.m., bro.
Okay, bro. Hey, so I think this went well and it was pretty easy, right? We went over time, but it was pretty easy, and I fucking ran my mouth about internal combustion engine. But I hope you learned something from that, so you can understand a little bit more when we're talking about
I
burning
think
fossil fuels. Because, dude, it's just the whole thing is a load of fucking crap, all meant to be able to tax people for something they need to use, okay? And to prevent and to sit here, like I was saying, the big picture for me is to sit here and for people in the first world to discuss whether or not people in the third world are allowed to use, petroleum and fossil fuels, okay, which are super convenient and just practically necessary, okay, to bring countries out of poverty and industrialize them and raise their standard of living. To sit here and for us, I'm speaking like from first world countries, to sit here and pass these restrictions on is fucked up, dude. It's fucked up. It's almost ensuring that there's going to be strife, struggle, and hardship and all this bullshit, okay, to save the planet. Like George Carlin says, fucking, we're not saving the planet. We're saving the conditions for humans to live here. Fucking Earth has been through volcanoes, storms, earthquakes, meteors, extinction events, ice ages, boilos, all this kind of shit. Earth has been here spinning 4.5 billion years. Earth is going to keep on spinning. It's going to fucking shake us off like a bad case of the fleas and keep on fucking spinning. Okay? Earth doesn't give a fuck. We're saving the Earth for ourselves, is what we're doing. Okay? So it ain't about saving the fucking planet. It's about some kind of nefarious fucking plan to get money. Always is. Now, the other thing that I did not know that I really wanted to discuss, and maybe we'll discuss tomorrow or the next day, okay, is fucking the immigration bullshit that's going all through Europe and the open borders. Are you familiar with that at all?
Somewhat. Somewhat.
Somewhat. Well, I have yet to figure out what their plan is, but I think it could be, again, as simple as fucking money, okay? Because the powers that be, whether it's, corporations or the wealthy people, you have, who bono, bro? Who fucking benefits, okay? And if you have people who own businesses and politicians, Democratic politicians, when they get immigrants, they're buying votes. Simple mechanism.
Yeah, they're getting more voters.
Simple votes. That's what they're doing. They bring immigrants in, give them what they want. They vote Democrat. That's what they're doing. They're buying a voter base. There ain't no fucking mystery there. Now, corporations, what are they doing it for? Well, when you have a large volume, I think I got a retard. 1 o'clock. This guy's pacing back and forth and touching things. Now he's touching himself. Yeah, there's something wrong with this guy.
I have.
There's something wrong with that. Anyway, so you have these corporations. They bring in people. What happens with the labor pool is it fucking pushes all the labor.
Hey, whoa, Tino. Whoa, you're going on a tangent here. You're going on a tangent here, man.
Wild tangent. Yeah, man. Because it was the thing about who benefits the mysteries.
Yeah.
Because you were asking me what it was for about money, and I don't understand why these people are destroying their European countries. Like you say, Paris is no longer Paris. Okay? It just no longer is. Have you seen those videos of what's going on in Paris?
I'm not changing, but there are quite a lot of articles saying that Paris is a lot worse than it was before. But I don't know how accurate that is. I'm not sure how accurate it is.
It's a fucking shithole.
Well, was it a shithole
fucking
before?
looking at me. Riri's looking at me. Yeah, man. It's a shithole.
You're talking about.
You see the videos, man. Just junk, mattresses, encampments, just fucking disasters in the middle of the streets. And then, of course, down the next street, you've got 7,000 people fucking on their knees, touching their fucking forehead, praising Allah, in the middle of the fucking street, holding up traffic, And then you go down the next street, and you got a fucking bunch of beekeeper suits, black tents going down the street. It's like, dude, that's not fucking Paris. So you got to understand, why the fuck they're doing this. I mean, could they be so self-centered, the politicians and the powers that be and the people with real money, could they be so fucking self-centered and so, completely careless that they do not care that they are just destroying 2,000-year-old culture, 1,000-year-old culture, okay, of a city and a nation, France and Paris, for the sole benefit of votes and, suppressing, wage stagnation and suppressing the labor market wages. I mean, would they be willing to trade that for that, knowing the fucking consequences, knowing the crime, the complete just mayhem that it's going to cause? I mean, that's the only benefit that I can see. Money.
We don't
Cost.
We have early before we can choose.
Say again?
It's still kind of early before we can get an answer to these issues.
Well, I mean, that's a natural consequence of what it's for, is when you bring in immigrants. I mean, listen, let me ask you something. And again, I don't mean to be condescending, but I mean, have you ever looked into like the fall of the Roman Empire? The I mean, it's a major thing for societal and politics and history is the study of the Roman Empire and how it fell. And of course, they say, well, they fucking sold out on the Visigoths and they fucked out. But it's a very the fall of the Roman Empire is a textbook case of how empires fail, and it was one of the greatest empires in history, and went
Right?
down. It went down seemingly.
Tito, you're going on another tangent, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we gotta call it here, man. I gotta go to bed. Fuck.
Okay, what I guess what my tangents are, we're bringing up some topics that we can cover next time because I don't want these videos to be me running my fucking mouth because I will.
Another place to
And
start.
you can't just sit there and just fucking listen to me, dude. You gotta.
Dude, there's a delay. So when I say something, you either don't hear it or you hear it too late.
Okay, but I'm saying, if you let me talk, I will. So I want us to come up with a topic where we can have a back and forth, and you can. I don't want to say participate because obviously you are, but I don't want to be lopsided. I don't want to fucking steamroll you, bro. So I'm trying to
Well,
find.
anything related to like mechanics, I don't really have a lot of information there. But
Okay, well, tell
psychology,
me
sociology,
psychology and sociology.
yeah, those kind of things. Yeah,
Okay, well, that's a good.
philosophy too.
Really, like which philosophers?
Oh, I don't remember their names, but I remember the concepts. Like I can argue the concepts, right? But I don't remember the names of a lot of philosophers. Damn it, I can't remember their names because there's a lot of Greek guys.
The other Greek guy? You mean
It's a
Socrates?
lot of Greek guys. Greeks
Socrates?
and I mean Socrates.
Socrates. I know Socrates. Yeah, Socrates.
What? So great.
Socrates.
I call the guy so crazy.
Yeah, and the other little kitty fucker, Plato.
Well, most of those guys did have a lot of issues. Like Oedipus was. Yeah,
Yeah, they had issues. Boy, they were fucking boy lovers, man. That's what they call
yeah,
them.
quite a few of them were.
Boy lovers. You mean fucking sodomite pedophiles? Unfortunately, it was common back there. You know what really is unfortunate is that now in Afghan, to this day, they have some. They don't call it boy loving. They call it boy play, boy play, boy play. That's what they call it. And they take these young fucking boys and like, put makeup on them and feminine shit and have them dance around and then fuck them in the ass. And the kids, that's their like their vocation, and it's going on right now, and not like criminally like accepted tacit approval part of their culture. And there was a major problem with the U.S. troops that were over there that were came upon this and were having a problem with the local authorities who condoned it and participated in it, and our higher ups, above the field officers, not lieutenant colonel, but colonels and up were telling the field officers to fucking stand down and don't, and it was a fucking problem, dude, because they're basically fucking young boys, and it's still part of their
Well,
culture.
that's a different culture, so you can't. It's hard for me to agree with what's happening over there, but like it's a different culture, so of course people are going to treat it differently. Hello?
Yeah, um, I'm, I'm listening for that one. It's a different culture. Yeah, it
Oh,
is. But are you saying that that's acceptable because it's a different culture?
it. I wouldn't accept it, but it's going to be accepted over there because they've already accepted it. I don't agree with it, right? I wouldn't want it to be happening to anybody. But the fact that it's a different culture means that it's a different set of rules, man. Like another thing is you're going to their country, they're doing something fucked up, you don't agree with it, but it's their country and their rules. So huh. I don't want it happening, right? But I can understand why. I can understand how it is the officials don't do anything about it, because there are rules at play here that I'm not familiar with. Like it might be that the damn, it could be a lot of things at play here. Like it could be the case that the officers are one, a part of what's happening, or two, they know higher ups that are engaging in it, and they know that if they try to clean up this issue, they're going to be reprimanded for it. Right? There are things like that happening that I don't know. I don't know what's the local law or the local rule that's happening that's preventing law enforcement from actually cleaning up this issue. Right? There are things that play here that we don't understand. But I do think that that's a shitty situation, and my gut is that the higher keep it under wraps and keep it safe because they want to keep doing it. That's my guess.
Okay, can you repeat the last 15 seconds? It turned into fucking cyborg there.
Oh shit!
Last 15 seconds.
More than what's happening, in my opinion, is the higher ups are engaging in this kind of pedophilia activity, and they want to keep it going. So the police officers aren't able to stop this, because if they do, they're gonna get reprimanded. Did you catch that?
Yeah, the police officer higher up, they don't want, they're gonna get reprimanded. I just, I'm listening to all this. It's just, I don't know. To me, I care less about their fucking culture. I would have had a real problem. I would have shot the fucker.
Uh, uh, you see, that's the problem. If you go to another country and tell them, hey,
I would have had a serious fucking problem with it, dude. That's somebody's fucking kid.
You're going to another country and you're telling them, hey, we don't agree with what you're doing, so we now have the right to shoot you in your country for doing something that we don't agree with.
I know because when you come into that problem with sovereignty and jurisdiction, that's the meat of this conflict, of this conversation. Is That's where the crux of the problem is. At what point does sovereignty trump human morality?
Yeah, exactly. So I think in this case it should, because you're protecting the life of someone that can't protect themselves. So I think in this case the human life should come above everything else. But there are going to be negative repercussions for that.
That's a bingo.
There are going to be negative repercussions for that. That's the thing. I don't know what the repercussions are though. I can't predict what they're going to be.
That's one of them questions when you find out. So how far up does it go? They're turning it down.
Pretty far. I don't think that the higher ups don't know this is happening. I don't think so. They definitely know it's happening. I just can't.
It's dude. There's a word for it. My brain's been searching in the background for it. I know it's called boy play, but it's I've been trying to recall it without having to look it up. But Baka Bali or something. Bacha Bali. I think it's called Bacha Bali or Bacha Bali. Boy play is what they call it, dude. And they fucking they dress the young boys up like in like these little fancy fruity fucking outfits.
It's Bacha Bazi.
Huh?
It's Bacha Bazi or Bacha Baz.
There it is. That's it. I was close. So and they fucking put some makeup on them and stuff and make the kids fucking dance, and then at the end of the night they fuck them in the ass. It's like, dude, when you got a whole fucking word for it and all that, and it's part of the culture, not only do you have to stop that, but you also look back and you say, that's a hell of a fucking culture you got going there. Do you realize we're in the 21st fucking century? This ain't fucking 2,300 years ago in Greek times. It's 21st fucking century. They're doing this, bro. That's why there was an episode of Bill Maher when he was saying, yeah, Western culture, yeah, we are better. None of this bullshit about all cultures are fucking bring something to the table. No, Western culture is fucking better. It is.
I don't agree with that.
Really? Dude, you're part of Western culture, by the way. Did you forget?
Yeah, but I can appreciate other cultures, like the Japanese Eastern culture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no.
I can
Okay,
appreciate that. It's just
yeah, that's not one of the problematic cultures I was talking about,
you
dude.
see that.
The Western culture, and then you're bringing up the Eastern culture, but right in the middle, there's
I
this
see that.
area, the sandy parts, that part.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch the Middle East. Let me say that I wouldn't go there for vacation or nothing like that. I wouldn't go there.
I mean,
Would
you wouldn't
not
go there
go.
for vacation. Yeah, I think we just fucking nuke it from orbit just to be sure, dude. Fuck
What? No,
vacation.
yeah.
Yeah,
What?
man,
Why did so many people want to do that? I can't get behind that.
because they're
I can't.
evil.
No, I don't think all people over there are evil. There are quite a lot of people that want to, make a life for themselves.
Hey,
Yo,
listen, you said you didn't want a vacation there, and I'm telling you that I would nuke it from orbit just to be sure. Granted, I'd give everybody 72 hours, get the fuck out of there, and yeah, pretty much turn it into a big ass train. Um,
fuck.
mhm.
Anyways, with that, we should close the we should close the episode for now, man. My brain's
Okay.
shutting off.
Yeah. Listen, we need to discuss things like that because there's other shit about thermodynamics and internal combustion engines. This ain't fucking Khan Academy. You know, we get down to some meat in the gritty, and I'm glad you fucking finally came around to something like that, and that you had a fucking opinion. I'll get it
Well,
at you
most
later. I'll get it
most
at
people don't
you.
want to have an opinion on it because it's a touchy issue. Like, not everybody wants to say, yeah, you got some evil motherfuckers in the world, and you should
Why
find a
not?
way to get rid of them.
Why not? Why can't you say something? If you know something is wrong, why can't you fucking say so?
Most people don't want to deal with the social consequences that come with having an opinion on things like this.
Most people don't want to have the
Don't want
what?
to deal with the social consequences that come with having a strong position when it comes to the Middle East. Because, well, it
Yeah, no,
seems,
that's exactly right. Most people don't want to have the social consequences of speaking an opinion. What was the last part? That was perfect, man.
they're
Don't
speaking
want,
an opinion related to anything about the Middle East. Because when it comes to white people, it's very easy for them to be labeled as racist,
did you
right?
just white people?
Yeah,
White
I was
people.
saying when it comes to white people, it's very easy for them to be labeled as racist. So even if they have a point that's valid, the rest of the world is going to look at it and say, because this guy is white, we can't really trust him. He might be a racist in disguise. But
Really?
that doesn't take away from what, yeah.
Okay. So white people, huh? Fucking white people. What are we gonna
Did you
do
hear
about
what
it?
I said?
No, because this guy was fucking coming over here with his kid, and I try to keep a safe distance from fucking kids. You know, I don't do well around kids. You know, it's fucking I don't fucking want to deal with people's kids. People around here don't fucking, you know, their kids does something stupid. It'll be my fault because I didn't get out of the way or some shit like that. So I'm mindful to keep my distance. So I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part about. I actually was writing it down. People don't want to deal with the social consequences of speaking an opinion that's critical of the Middle East. You said something to that effect, right?
Yeah, that's kind of obvious, right? Like,
Yeah, but that's exactly what I want to discuss. That's exactly what types of things I wanted to discuss. And you were at the point where I was saying, you know, well, I was thinking, I didn't say it, but the conflict that you're having is which is more important, you know, maybe some criticism from people thinking that you were saying white people are racist or cannot be trusted or anything like that, versus drawing attention to, you know, heinous acts of oppression and exploitation of the phrase you use, which is perfect, people who cannot defend themselves. You know, turning a blind eye to a heinous act like that of exploitation of minors and children for sexual gratification, you know, um, I have a problem with that, dude. I have a real problem with that.
yeah,
You
most
know,
people will.
yeah, but yeah, and but okay, wait a minute. I think you you think that I'm saying I have a problem with the exploitation itself. No, I have a problem with the fact that society is afraid to to cast a light on it. Obviously, we're gonna have a problem with the exploitation of sexual exploitation of minors. I'm saying I have a real problem with the fact that uh, societal ostracization, that there are social consequences for criticizing something that is so fucked up. That's part. In addition to, I have a real problem with our society. You know, that right now discussing something and flat out saying this is happening with this fucking culture, and instead of people looking at the fucking culture, no, we're the fucking bad guys and we're the fucking racists and all this shit for pointing out something that fucked up. That I have a problem with that. I have a problem with our modern society that thinks that way, where the criticism falls on the messenger instead of the fucking perpetrators.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. I'm not sure how to break down that one.
There is no easy answer because our society has come to this point. It's a reality of our modern society where the messenger is criticized more than the perpetrators.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, like the thing that I'm having a problem with, I'm trying to like find out. I'm trying to figure out where that stems from with the person
White guilt.
who is. Oh, I'm trying to figure out where what that stems from with the person that has a problem with it. I like to empathize with hypotheticals to see where they're coming from and why they would have that kind of mindset. But I can't pick up on anything that makes sense besides the fact that they're emotionally involved with the issue and they want to defend it. But I'm not sure why they would defend certain issues. You know, it's
Virtue signaling, because there's a fucked up thing that's going on. Like, for example, feminists in the United States, okay, defend and will criticize or attack, socially attack anybody who's critical of Islam and call them xenophobic and all that shit. They're feminists and they want the empowerment of women, and they are defending the most misogynistic and oppressive culture and society there is. I mean, I can think of few other cultures, if any, that are more misogynistic and oppressive towards women than fucking Islam. And yet,
I don't have an answer for that one. I don't have an answer for that.
no, that's dude, that's
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I can't figure it out myself.
it's what was it called? Dissonance
The
or
contradiction.
no, there's a phrase for when you have a
What,
dissonance.
Stockholm syndrome?
There's a cognitive dissonance. It's fucking at odds with itself. It makes no fucking sense. It's they are defending, and they do it for virtue signaling. It's a real strange thing that they are trying to be hip and cool, or who knows what the fuck is
But
driving
yeah,
them.
that could be it. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, it could be the case that, all right, with the feminists, they want to protect minorities, so that kind of behavior could carry over to the to Islam. It could be carried over to Islam, and that's what's happening now. It could also be compounded by the fact that it's trendy to be the underdog. And in this argument, the underdog position is to defend Islam. So they're emotionally charged to protect minorities, and defending Islam is an underdog position. So that's why it's favorable to them.
Yep, there's a fact. Yeah, I'll accept that. Yeah, that's part of it. It's fucked up that that would be such a driver, but I understand that. Yeah, to go the underdog, to go up against you know white people and white oppression, and have some kind of part of the whole liberal progressive thing is that all other cultures are better than white culture. So
I don't understand where that comes from. Like, all cultures are different,
fucking sense.
and just because, like, yeah, white people did some evil shit in the past, right? But as with every other culture, they did evil shit too. So at this point, like,
Well,
it still seems unfair to hold them down to the same things the
the,
things that were
the,
done by their ancestors in the past. However, there still is racism in the U.S. to this day. So you do have some that be pushing it up
Dude,
on them.
you went away there after racism in the U.S.
Oh, I was saying that there is still racism in the U.S., but
Mm-hmm.
that seems to be perpetrated by a small group of white people and not everybody. But I don't live there, so I'm not able to see what's happening. You know?
Well, I mean, bro, the I always get people with the racism in the U.S. Okay, because usually it's the black people on Facebook, and I draw them
Yeah,
in, and they always
yeah.
want to talk about how fucking they want to get rid of systemic racism and shit like that. And I'll say, yeah, it's a good idea. And I draw them in and then tell them, what, so when are we going to sponsor the bill to get rid of affirmative action? And it's like throwing a glass of water in their face. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I say, yeah, the fucking systemic racism. They don't fucking get it. Affirmative action is flat out fucking racism. And it doesn't register with them. They're used to, I know you don't have that there in Jamaica, of course. I think, what the fuck? You know,
No,
what? How many
yeah.
white people are on the whole fucking island? Like 5%, 10%,
It's
maybe.
not a lot. It's not a lot.
It's not a lot. I think there's about four over there, bro. So I don't
Here's
know
the
if you
thing.
know
The thing is, Jamaica's a weird place because we have a lot of tourists. So we do see white people, right? But they're tourists. We don't really care about them.
Yeah, we do see white people.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, the thing with Jamaicans is
Sounded
we're
funny.
not really
Sounded funny.
no I don't want to be tooting my own horn, but the thing with Jamaicans is we don't really have a lot of where are you? Oh.
You afraid to sound racist, man?
Yeah, I am. I don't want to be I don't want to have to deal with that dog shit, all right? Because it seems that the people involved in race arguments aren't smart enough to be having them.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. The people they're not smart enough to be talking about racist issues, and they're not emotionally stable enough to be talking about these kinds of issues. That's what it seems. You okay? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I just got some kind of I'm not laughing. I was laughing before. I got something came up with this shit. But no, go ahead. What were you saying, man? You broke up there. It sounded like a motorcycle went by or something.
Yeah, a motorcycle did go by, but a lot of people who are having these arguments regarding race are too emotionally charged, so they can't really think logically about it.
Yeah, that happens to people on a lot of different issues. But
Yeah, especially race issues.
yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I'll be the first one when they start in with that like that. I tell them, hey, man, I'm not a racist. I'm a bigot. So get that shit straight. Okay.
That doesn't help. That those are too emotionally charged words. Like you can't, like, dude.
Get it, bro. They don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. You're talking to somebody that's emotionally charged, and they're waiting for you to say anything that'll kick them off. So you can't really have a discussion with them about things, right?
You're absolutely fucking. We got a bingo. You're absolutely right. We can't
So
have it.
I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to deal with it.
Okay.
I just don't want to
You
have
don't
to
wanna
deal with it.
fucking
Like,
deal with it. But me, I go for the cheap entertainment, dude. You know what can I tell you?
I want to have I want to have a good life, right? And meeting these people isn't going to help me have a good life. Like I have certain beliefs that I all right, like I have certain beliefs that I wouldn't say because I know most people can't handle them. Like when it comes to racist, if
Like what,
somebody is racist, I would like to know so I can avoid this bitch.
bro? You can usually tell. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you
you think
can.
people are gonna fucking tell you, hey, by the way, I'm racist.
That would be nice. That
So
would be.
you can tell people. You can tell people. Do you know?
No, you can tell some people, but you do have another group of people who are racist, but they don't want to deal with the negative repercussions of being a racist.
Uh, you lost me on that. They don't want to deal. They are racist, but they don't want to deal with the negative repercussions of being a racist.
Yeah, so they
No,
don't
they
want
don't
to
want
be labeled as a racist. They
to.
want to be seen as somebody who is a good person, who is
Right, but you can tell.
holier than thou. What?
But you can tell, bro. Come on, man.
Uh,
Are there that few white people there that you can't?
yeah,
Or
there are that few white people there. Like I don't talk to them every day. I just see them from time to time, but I'm not gonna stop and talk to this guy. I got stuff to do with my day.
I just
Like,
saw that conversation. Hey, you're white, right? Oh, are you racist?
no, nobody asks that. Like that's not no, that's not
Of
something that
course,
we ask
bro.
here.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. You're saying like I wish they would tell me. Come on, bro. They're not
I
gonna
would
fucking
like it.
tell.
Like you have to understand. Like living on the island, yeah, of course I understand that they're racist in the world, but most of the white people that come to Jamaica, they don't have a problem with black people. Otherwise, why would you come here? That doesn't make no sense.
There,
If
there's
you're racist, you're not gonna go to a country full of black people. Why would you do that?
because there's also because you're looking, dude. You're thinking of racism 101, bro. There's another there's other facets to it. Okay, there's this other one. It was let me see if I remember the phrase. It was the soft racism of low expectations, right? It's
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah, like when they say shit like what was what did they use? Oh, you speak really well for a black person. You ever heard
Yeah,
that one?
yeah. I've gotten that. I've gotten that.
You got that one.
I've
Holy
gotten it. Yeah, I've
wow, no
gotten it.
way, bro. Yeah,
But you
shit.
know what's funny? When you get that from other black people, that's
Well,
funny. No,
that's well then that's I don't know what the fuck you call that, but see that's how they have been ingrained and they're used to that and it, that's it's subtle, bro. It's subtle. It's there, but that's why I tell people because like I was saying, the fucked up thing when I tell people I'm a bigot, you know, and most people don't know the difference, and they swear they in their mind bigot and racist are the same thing.
Are synonyms, yeah.
No, but they're not, dude. They're not.
Yeah, they're not, but most people are going to assume that they are.
And that's the joke.
Tino, that's the thing.
What do you mean?
Like, I'm trying to think about how to say this, but it seems in the United States that any sort of sarcasm or nuanced joke doesn't go over well anymore.
Well, like I said, if the person doesn't like it or doesn't get it, how does that affect my paycheck? There's some fucking idiot on the internet.
It shouldn't, but it is affecting some people now. Well, people in the entertainment industry, it's affecting them. I don't know if it's affecting like normal day-to-day people. I don't know about that.
Well, look, it's like this, bro. People really fucking give a shit to know what happened is. Bigot actually means, you know, I'm sure I told you this. Bigot means arrogant, opinionated, and anti-religion.
What? You sure about that? No, bigoted means somebody who is intolerant of people with different views. Isn't that what it meant?
Arrogant and opinionated.
Okay, I guess. All right, I guess.
It's morphed into intolerant like that because, see, in the last 20 years, there was a show, okay, called All in the Family. Did you ever hear that show, Archie Bunker? You ever heard of Archie Bunker?
Archie Bunker. Isn't that the comic with the redhead?
No, I'm talking about the 70s, bro. It was a Carol O'Connor. Was a fat guy, balding, had his.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, I've seen it before. Okay.
Yeah. And his son, Rob Reiner, Meathead. Okay, you know, they kind of started using in that show. It came from that using bigot and racist kind of like interchange, and it kind of morphed together. And that happens with language. People start, you know, a lot of people get their definitions from words, from inference of how other people use it. That's how they define a word. They don't know. Anyway, yeah, in modern U.S., unfortunately, they've kind of drifted closer as synonyms. But in reality, and I admit it because, you know, what am I going to do? Say I'm not, but I am arrogant, opinionated, and anti-religion. Now, if you take that to an extreme, okay, you can say that you're intolerant of stuff. Yeah, you could say that like that, okay? But, you know, the joke's on them, and I don't really give a fuck anyway. It's actually a French word, and it means bigot. It means by God, which which was anti-God, against God. You know, that's where it comes from. It's a French word. So anyway, that's why I always joke with people when I say, you know, racism is so 20th century, but bigotry is coming back in a big way, you know, because the 20th century was all about racism, you know, with the fucking Nazis and the real Nazis. Anyway, have you seen this Antifa shit with these people?
Whoa, Tino.
Punching Nazis?
I'm going to bed now. No. I'm going to bed now, man. I have to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's call it here. I'm out.
Yeah. Okay, man. I got it. Relax for a second. I'm taking some fucking notes here. You know, you didn't want to talk. I'm going to make sure we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. So it was the Middle East. Okay. And subtle. We got to look into subtle racism. You're going to hate this. I know. Subtle racism. And what was the other one? Oh, the low expectations. That's the shit that got you uncomfortable, huh? Low expectations.
No, it's not uncomfortable. It's just that I would like to think about what I say before I say it.
I'm kind of joking here, but I mean, I want to try to fucking get you more involved. I'm telling you, dude, you gotta
talk about these things.
You gotta cut me off, or I'll just run my mouth.
Yeah, which I'm trying to do, but the internet connection is not helping me here with this one.
All right, man. I know you got to get up tomorrow. So, listen about the hard won experience. I don't know if you were using it or whatever, but I think instead of YouTube, because maybe YouTube's going to give a shit eventually. I can already see it coming if this goes the way I want to. And maybe I was thinking about looking into setting up a video platform or something on
Well,
that
what you can
website.
do is use Hard One Experience to host the videos, but you can still upload them to YouTube. That's all you got to do.
Right. Ow, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Look into some kind of a video hosting platform. Is that already there? I'll look into it. I'll look into it. But
There are
you're
multiple video uploading platforms, but you're not gonna beat YouTube.
not gonna be what?
You're not going to beat YouTube.
I know that, but I can already anticipate, getting flagged and whatever, and fuck demonetized. And I already set up the Patreon, so I got to look at this and see how I can do that and set up the whole Patreon thing, or somehow link it. Anyway, I'm getting tired too. So anyway, all right, buddy, this was good. I hope I didn't keep you up too late. Remember, it's fucking quarter after.
You did, bitch.
Yeah. What can I tell you, bro? It's all in the interest of the show, man. The show must go on. Something I got something here on my forearms and bugging me all night, bro. Fucking
Don't
something.
scratch it, dude. Don't scratch it.
Never scratch.
Yeah, exactly. Don't scratch it.
Fucking what was that called? Minority Report. That's what I need to do, bro. I haven't seen a movie in a while. I think I'm gonna watch a movie for a little while. All right,
All
buddy.
right. Well, I'm going to bed.
All right, man.
Be careful out there.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.